Welcome to Untying Knots. I'm your co-host, Lyndon.
And I'm Angelica.
And we are excited to bring you season 3. Welcome back. How's it been so far?
It's been so good.
Good.
Listen, just paid, fine, and paid.
Yo, let's talk about New York City real quick. We haven't talked about
it. Yes.
If you guys haven't noticed, which you probably should have by now, we've been killing it.
Yes.
We had New York City in October it was? We were on the billboard out there. How was that experience for you?
It was amazing. I have to say, when people start recognizing who you are in the street, you've made it.
Yeah, and in New York City, of all places. You can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, that was just a real experience. Remember the lady that was like looking at the billboard, and then she looked back at us and she was like, "Oh, I think that's them."
Right.
Yeah, that was a crazy, like, surreal moment to me.
Yeah, we gave her some free flow there for her.
We did. Shout out to that. That was a great time. So now we're back.
We are.
Season 3. We got so much in the pipeline for it. And today we're going to get into a conversation about polyamory. And we have some wonderful guests with us. You probably know them. You've probably seen them on TV. We're going to get into that in a second. But what are your thoughts about that type of relationship dynamic?
I love it. I think it needs to be talked about more. I think people need to be in it more. I think it needs to be a thing.
Would you be in it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so what role would you play?
What role would I play?
Yeah, would you be the queen or would you be somebody else's, like a sister wife?
I would be the queen. What you think?
I see you as a sister wife. You can be sister wife type. You can be side chick vibes.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So why do you think, it's not, I don't want to say not the norm, but what are some of the challenges that you think we have societally from a societal standpoint with polyamory?
I think we are raised a certain way. I think we see it in our parents and our relationships. I think we are only given certain options to quote unquote choose from, but we aren't given all of them. And we are not educated on the processes of how to get into these other unconventional relationships. But in my mind, everything can be discussed and arranged with good communication.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, we categorize things that are different as wrong. And so just because something's different than what you know of, what you've seen, what you've experienced, it's automatically discarded as, oh, that's wrong because it's
100%.
different. And it's not necessarily that it's maybe perhaps a right or a wrong or a moral thing. Perhaps it's just a different thing because we're different people and there's diversity in the world.
Right.
And so we all come from different backgrounds, different experience. We have different energies. We have different perceptions, all these types of differences. It doesn't make anything wrong per se.
Right. I like to call it diversity of thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Perspective. We all have a different point of view. My point of view doesn't necessarily have to be yours.
No, it doesn't.
I see life through a different lens.
Yeah. And it's not even like a disagreement type of thing. Perhaps it's just moving towards understanding.
Right.
You know
or
what I mean?
Communication.
Which, a couple of years ago, I was watching a show and it was about, it was the show where the guy was out in Utah. He had like 5 or 6, 7 wives or something like that. I forget the name of it.
Sister Wives?
Was it the Sister Wives? Okay. And they were talking about how they have such high level communication in their relationship versus monogamous couples struggle with communication. I mean, our divorce, we could probably articulate to communication breakdowns.
Right.
But it seems that in different relationship dynamics, it's the exact opposite, that there's more honesty, there's more trust, there's more openness.
Right. Because there's nothing you need to keep hidden from anybody. But also imagine the level of issue resolution in those relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, that's golden right there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the struggles that monogamous relationships have, right? Looking at our own divorces.
Right.
Man, so let's get into it here. Let's introduce our guests. We're so excited to have you guys on the show today. Welcome, welcome.
Yay, so fun. We love being here talking about this topic.
Let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about. We got plenty of time to do it. So go ahead, introduce yourselves. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you guys do?
Well, I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and start.
My name is Kenya K. Stevens. Of course, I am the world's best love coach. I stop divorces. I'm an author, a mother, a wife, a priestess, and a woman who actually came here to change the planet. So I love what I do. These are my husbands, Carl and Tiger. Why don't y'all introduce?
Peace and blessings. Carl Stevens. Been married to Kenya for almost 30 years. Relationship coach. I'm an open relator. Been polyamorous for about 15 years. Have a number of partners that I deal with. So love being here.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm Tiger Moonstone. I am Kenya's second husband for 10 years now, going strong, still kind of working it out, learning it every day. This is my first endeavor into polyamory. I did not know anything of polyamory until I met Kenya. So it's been a real learning experience, overcoming some challenges, really kind of breaking out of the norm of monogamous thinking and into what is polyamory.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's my first question I have. How come you didn't take the same last name?
Well, I took a portion of Kenya's maiden name to create my last name. But because Kenya and I are not legally married, because with polyamory, you can take on multiple husbands or you can take on multiple wives, just depending on your dynamic. But you can't legally marry more than one person, at least in the United States.
Yeah.
So Kenya and I did a ceremonial marriage in which we have bonded ourselves for life. And so we just kind of created a name that symbolizes, a part of her and a part of me, and that became our name.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, which last name do you think he could have taken?
Oh, I thought it would have been Stevens.
Well, Stevens.
Why would he take his name?
Stevens is my name.
I thought you were the Stevens. I thought you were the Stevens, and everybody was taking your last name.
No, I married him in 1995.
Okay.
30 years ago, and took Stevens.
Yeah, she has my last name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were monogamous originally.
Okay,
that's where I was going to get to. That's where I was going to get to.
So monogamous originally, she took my last name. When it came to our children, we gave them both of our names because we wanted to make sure that both of those family legacies were tied to our children. But so we were very traditional. We were exposed to polygyny very early, which is one man with multiple wives. We were actually married by a polygynous family.
Okay.
So the husband and his two wives came and married us in front of all of our family. So that was controversial. But, everybody's always known that Kenya and I have been different in terms of how we approach things. So, yeah, this is, pretty normal for us to be polyamorous, to be open, to talk about, to teach it. So that's how we got here.
Okay, so that makes sense why Tiger didn't take Carl's last name. Okay, now it's making sense.
Right.
See, I thought you were the Stevens.
Oh, interesting. No.
That's what I was thinking.
My maiden name is Stone, and so he's Tiger Moonstone.
Okay.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's awesome. No, that's really, really dope.
Thanks.
I love that. So you guys got married in 1995, right? Let's start at the beginning of your love story. And what was that like in the beginning? And how did your relationship evolve to what it is today?
Well, I think, we met on a blind date. My husband and I both went to Howard University.
Okay, shout out Howard.
Yeah, Howard.
HBCU.
Well, he was in graduate school at Howard. He has his MBA from Howard, and I was still in undergrad. So I was psychology, early childhood psychology. And either way, we met on a blind date and we went out. I just knew he was my husband just from the first time I ever saw him. And it's just, we went through a series of events and we got married the same year we met.
Really?
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, we were very both spiritual. So we went to council and the priest told us, oh, you all have a very high purpose here on the planet.
Yeah.
That you're already husband and wife. So we just, accepted that we were husband and wife from day one. But even outside of that counseling session, we were engaged within 2 months of meeting.
8 weeks.
So we were very clear on what we wanted and the direction we wanted to go.
I love that because a lot of people think, oh, you got to wait around, you got to see. I think people know off the rift. I think people know this is somebody that I want to spend my life with, see them change, see them evolve.
Especially women, we're the choosers.
We are the choosers.
We're the choosers. So we know, I call it the art of placement, which most women don't know because they're waiting on men to choose me.
Yeah.
No, sir, no, ma'am.
Wait, you don't think that women are the chosen?
No, that's patriarchy.
Wait,
Right. We talked about this.
So who proposes to who though?
Well, in the patriarchy, where women are going to be owned, then men are choosing who they'd like to own and take care of for the rest of their lives. Like you choose which cow or which horse you want. But this is not real life. Everyone knows the feminine is the chooser because you're going to enter us. Okay, that means you're at the door and you'd like to come in. So who chooses who comes into your house?
Well, the guy chooses what door he's going to knock on.
Sure, he can choose, but who's going to ultimately say, yes, this is, I'm choosing you to come into this house?
The best way to look at it is like the sperm and the egg. So it's like a woman in the club. Yeah, there's 1,000 guys trying to talk to her.
Yeah.
She's only going to let one in, and it's up to her which guy she's going to say yes to. So that's kind of how it works in the real world. A lot of guys don't know that, and they end up getting into a lot of trouble like the whole, I'm not sure if you watch college football, familiar with that kind of, but the Travis Hunt thing.
Yeah.
Dude, that's an example of a man who was not chosen by the woman, right? He chose her. She was like, nah, he's not my type. Found out he had money and he's going to be a big whatever.
Right.
So she'll be willing to be with him. You see what I'm saying? But she never chose him, so she's definitely going to divorce him after they get married within like 5 or 10 years. But that's what it looks like when a woman does not choose a man. She can't really be with him. She's not really feeling him like that. And the women can speak to that. When you don't really feel the man on a soul level, on a visceral level, you cannot maintain a relationship with him.
Well, the fact of the matter is I chose him. Like I wanted him, his brilliance, his intelligence. And then what happened in terms of our ascent into polyamory is we kept having these experiences. So at like year 4, I had just had our second baby and I started liking this guy in our community center. I don't know what happened. One day we were painting a picture together and I gave him a hug goodnight and I just had like orgasm all over my whole body. Just not located in the genitals, just everywhere.
Yeah, holistic orgasm.
Yes.
And I want you to expand on this because Lyndon and I have talked about this. People bring different energies to you.
Facts.
And there's people that can't understand that because their mind is so closed and they're so detached from their inner being that there's certain people that can provide you certain energy that others can't.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with being able to have a taste of all the different energies.
Right.
Because for me, I'm all about self-expression. And it's like if you see something, but you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it, you're not living fully self-expressed.
Right.
And
well,
so
that's what 9 expressions of love is about. It's about all of these different connections. One connection is like a womb choice, where I'm filling you with this chakra. This chakra of sexuality is spinning. Another one, the one I had with you, darling, is the crown choice, where you're feeling like guru energy. Like, oh my God, we've known each other in past life. We're so spiritually connected. That's an orgasm in and of itself. Then, well, he's womb choice. He's womb, he's crown. But then there's also the heart choice, the support choice.
Hey, that's important too, though. That's important too. Let's not discredit that womb chakra.
Speak on your
Let's not discredit that.
Well, when the heart chakra's spinning, it's like that friendship vibe. Like, oh my God, you're my person.
Yeah.
That sort of energy. And you don't feel as sexually whatever with that heart chakra spinning.
Right.
The womb is going to be more, but you may not want to put that womb choice in your house. You may want to keep him over there. But because we have lost this art, which is a feminine art, we know the men don't have no chakra spinning. Our chakras are spinning.
Wait.
No, wait.
Baby.
That shit going right now. What you mean?
Now, hold on. I'm just saying that if women understood how to place men, instead they want, like you said, all of those things to come from one person. And that is... It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist,
Well, let's stop right here. We'll come and pick this back up in just a moment. But let's go ahead and let's talk to our sponsors about what we have going on here today.
Hi, my name is Kenya K. Stevens, and I stop divorces. I stop divorces by helping couples become communities. In order to have the relationship that you want, you have to have the proper communication system at hand. Communication has to happen. All of your emotions are valid. All of your feelings are valid. If your partner does not know how to hold space for your emotion, you need up-level communication. You need 9 expressions of love, and you need me to be your guide through that process. Divorce Proof Club is one way you could do it, or you can work one-on-one with me at my coaching practice, progressiveloveacademy.com.
Hi, my name is Carl E. Stevens Jr. I am a love coach. I am a metaphysician. You can check me out at mysteryschool.live. That's mysteryschool.live to learn about spirituality, about relationships. And you can also go to my website, Seku Numerology. That's SEKU, numerology.com, where you can learn about your personality just based on your date of birth. You can also learn about your compatibility with your partner. Find out if you guys match personality-wise and who's the submissive and dominant person in the relationship. So check me out, Seku Numerology or mysteryschool.live.
Hello, world. Are you ready to stop dating, start relating? 2025, meetamore.com.
I'm excited. I want to join.
Yeah, that's some really good stuff.
Right.
Definitely check that out. So let's pick up where we were, right? So we're in the middle of your love story, right? You got the guru chakra going, right? And so you met this other guy and he gave you a holistic orgasm. And so now your mind is open to the fact that perhaps you've met another soulmate.
Well, yes, except he's married and I'm married, and we went to our marriage counselors at that time, which only have a 25% success rate, by the way, just to put that in there.
Didn't help us.
I stopped divorces. They really don't know how yet. All right. But we went to the marriage counselor. We told them all of this. I confessed to my husband that I felt this way, had this orgasm, blah, blah, blah. They told us, forget about it. How do I forget about it? How do you forget about a full body orgasm if you've never had one? You tell me. So I didn't. I kept dreaming about him and everything like that. Then a few years later, you had the same experience.
Yeah, I fell in love with somebody on my job. You know, felt very real. But the thing about it, like just some background, like I was naive about marriage. I thought once you get married, like a lot of that stuff kind of went away. Like, you know, you wanting somebody else and your attraction. Like I wasn't dressing to meet people or trying to meet people.
Right.
So it just kind of happened naturally. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, why did nobody talk to us about the realities of marriage and some of the things that you're going to face? So I had that feeling, you know, about 4 years after she did. And I'm like, this is really real. So we just talked about it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, here's what I'm experiencing. She was like, well, let me meet the lady. We all met together, went to dinner and talked about it, like how we felt, X, Y, and Z. And then Kenya and I talked about it separately, and she was like, well, I think if you're going to date, then I should be able to date too. And at that time, I was like the standard American male. I'm like hell no, like what are you talking about? Like fuck that. You see what I'm saying? So I just said, yeah, we'll just be monogamous. Fuck it. You see what I'm saying? So we basically went through a 2-year process where we were learning Tantra, which is an ancient art around sexuality. And that's where I learned that, and if you want to unlock the power of the feminine, you've got to love her, right? Protect her, but also allow her to be free. You see what I'm saying? And so that's where I learned, like I said, oh, okay, I was approached this from a limited mindset.
Yes.
And so once I had that lesson and went through that experience, that's when I agreed with Kenya, like, yeah, we should go ahead and do this thing. You should be able to do what you want to do, and I'll be with you forever, and I'll love you and protect you and that kind of stuff. So that's how we got into open relating.
So did you guys have rules in place? Like, so one of the things that I love about this story is the level of intimacy with your communication. It takes a lot for somebody to say, hey, I felt this way, especially for a man. Say, I felt this way about a man, but to reciprocate the same energy and say, hey, let's talk about this. So I'm more interested in the rules, like what was said, what can you do, what's off limits and what's in limits.
Well, currently we know that rules are for fools. They don't work.
Right.
So, I mean, that's now. That took like 10 years to learn, because I had all type of rules set up. I was like, no other women in the house, no other women in our bed, no this, no that. And then I thought it was really silly because the women are touching him. Like, I could say no women in the bed, but they've touched my husband. They're all over him. So who cares about the mattress? So there was a lot of rules in the beginning that we, over time, thought was really silly. Now we develop principles. So we have 5 principles that we live by.
Yeah, and the thing is, I just want to say, when Kenya and I opened our relationship and got into polyamory, nobody else was talking about it. No. Like, we were basically the first black couple.
What year was this? What year was this? Because you got married in 95.
Yeah, we started our journey in 2006.
Okay.
So that's when we started to talk about it and explore it and come out of the monogamous mindset. In 2008, we kind of went at it full steam. Okay. So yeah, we didn't have any resources, really. The only resource we had was this book by Christopher Ryan called Sex at Dawn. And that's when he talked about, well, human beings are not monogamous naturally.
Yeah.
And that, when we read that book and read the research, we're like, oh, okay, so how we feel and the way we're looking at things is not like weird. Yeah. It's different culturally from what is popular, but it's nothing weird. So like Kenya said, we had rules, but we had no guidance. No one to really talk to us about this. No groups on Facebook, like no discussions, none of that kind of stuff. So we had to figure stuff on our own. And the reason why we're doing the things we're doing in terms of teaching is because we feel like people need to be taught about some of the basics of relating. Not even polyamory, but relating. So the books that we have, Up-Level Communication and Non-Expressive Love, they'll help you in monogamous relationships too. But you gotta learn to communicate. You gotta learn, like, hey, what is it about your husband that really drew you to him? What drew you to your wife? And you all have honest conversations about that and be real about it, so that if you have different feelings for somebody else, you can categorize that appropriately and not feel like you have to be this all and everything for your partner.
So when Kenya came to you and said that she had this interaction with this other man, what was your initial reaction? Like, were you jealous? Were you upset?
You know what? I wasn't jealous. And I think the reason why is because, like I said, I was kind of naive. So I never heard of a married woman who really had strong feelings for another man.
Mhm.
I think I've heard of cheating and that kind of stuff, but like that was kind of like fleeting or whatever. So she had a genuine kind of like connection with this guy. And so it was so far fetched from what I understood. I didn't really even you know what I mean? Like I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
And we talked to our counselors and they're like, just whatever, forget it. So that's kind of how we left it. But I didn't really feel any particular way about it. She came right to me and talked to me about it. So it wasn't like she was sneaking around with the guy or anything like that.
No, we never cheated on each other, quote unquote.
I mean, can you cheat in poly?
Yes.
When
I mean,
polyamory, you can cheat.
right.
Because polyamory has rules, right?
Yeah.
So the no marital
Can you
bed and
break
stuff like that.
down for us and for our viewers?
Yeah, so there's, you know, I consider myself to be open. Open means, hey, I'm going to be my authentic self. You be your authentic self. I'll love you inside of who you are. You love me. And that's just kind of what it is, right? Polyamory it can be that, but it's usually like we have different rules. We have certain agreements that are in place, certain contracts. And if you break that rule or agreement, there's like a punitive thing around it. So you hear about lying and cheating all the time on polyamory. It doesn't work that way in open relating because, look, she's going to do what she wants to do and based on her personality and her character. I'm going to do the same thing. So I know my wife. So she's not really going to come at me with something like, I don't, you know, that's who she is. I get it. Yeah. And same thing with me. So we just kind of accept each other for who we are. Polyamory is like, it's like a stepping stone to open relating from our standpoint. And I wrote about that in both of my books, The Art of Open Relating, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Awesome. Tiger, what are your thoughts about that? How was your viewpoint on it? Because you came from a monogamous background, right? So what was kind of the intellectual and psychological transition for you?
Well, for me, I guess my first thought in this was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't understand this at all. Coming from a monogamous standpoint, I was very similar to what Carl experienced. You know, man gets married to a woman, they stay together and happily ever after. At least that's the story that we're told by, you know, Disney and all these other folks. So there's not really anything to say that, hey, there are other options if you don't quite fit into that monogamous mindset, that monogamous style of relating. There are other options out there. So I, unfortunately, you know, got married, stayed married for about 5 years, and then ended up getting a divorce because it was that same thing. There was not really an open space for communication. There was a lot of accusations, not that anyone was cheating in the relationship. At least I was not cheating. And my wife was, you know, she was out, she was having her thing.
She was cheating.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, if we're going to put it out there, she was. But what was happening was because she was cheating, she had the guilty conscience. And so she was throwing that on me, saying, hey, I know you're cheating.
Yeah, projecting that.
Projecting, absolutely. And so we ended up getting a divorce. And then that's actually when I met Kenya. I went out one night, just down in the dumps. My buddies called me. It's like, hey, look, dude, you're getting a divorce. Just come out.
So you gave her the holistic orgasm?
I don't know if I gave her a holistic orgasm.
That was years prior to the meeting.
So she probably had the holistic.
He and I have been married for 29 years.
Yeah, you said 30. That womb chakra be active.
But he had the womb choice effect on
him. That's what you said.
We met in a club, and she just saw me across the way. You know, that whole thing.
What song was playing? What was the song that was playing?
Well, he was dressed as Tiger Woods.
I didn't even know what song was playing at the time. You know, it was like the spotlight on her. I was just like,
he was like, that one, that one right there. And then she tells you that she's married. So what's your thought?
She didn't tell me at first that she was married.
Oh.
No, so like,
you don't need to.
I asked her for a phone number. She gave me a business card. So
I was hoping he would Google me and see that I'm
even thinking about it. I was like, a business 100%. Card. Like in my mind, that was getting shut down. But I put a number in my phone. You know, I had the iPhone, and it turned blue. So I was like, all right, you know, I'm gonna give it a shot. And so I ended up calling her up, and we ended up meeting up later on. This was a couple of weeks or so down the line, and you know, we were kicking it at the house, and she was like, "I want you to meet my husband," and I stopped. I was like, "Your husband?" And she's like, "Yeah, my husband." So in my mind, I'm thinking she's tiptoeing. I'm like, "Okay, you're one of those. You tiptoeing." Like, I'll play the game, but like, right, this is not gonna be a serious thing. And so then Carl comes in the room, and I'm like, "Oh crap! Like, I didn't know your husband was here. Like, you meet him now, like."
Great story.
So when I met him, like, he was real cordial. You know, came in, shook my hand, everything, and right then I was like, "That's not normal." I don't know any situation where a man's gonna walk in and there's another man there with his wife, and he's
Right.
cordial with him. Like, I thought I was having to run out the back door.
Mhm.
So right then it was kind of like, there's something a little different to this.
Yeah.
And that's what intrigued me. That's what made me want to say, okay, what's unique about your relationship? What are you guys doing right that nobody else is doing? Because I'm divorced. I would never have done this. But for this guy to be so cool, to just walk in the room when it was no jealousy, there was no animosity. It was just like, hey, nice to meet you. What was different about that? And so that was kind of my endeavor into like, okay, what is polyamory? And even then it wasn't like, I was like, okay, well, let me move into the house. Let me move with them. Like Kenya had asked me,
Yeah, I totally
come live
asked
with
you to
me.
move in the house.
And I told her no. I was like, no. But it was actually
He knocked on the
Earl
door.
when he
You opened it.
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I chose him. I mean, I saw him across the room and I decided I'm going to get him. I mean, I don't understand why y'all think women are the hunters. We're the hunters. We
But see,
already
women don't
seen
talk
you.
about it. Y'all need to talk about it and teach men about your process for how you go through choosing.
But we
partners.
can't, because then we'd be called for the streets or HO 304.
Right. Listen, if you look through my content, you'll see I've been called everything from A to Z.
Mhm.
But I totally understand it. I feel like we do choose men.
Yes.
And it's crazy because if you think about it physiologically and biologically, okay, in the wild, guess who chooses? The woman chooses, and the man, hence the male, has to attract the female with feathers, with crests, with tails, whatever. And they have to put on a show, and they fight for the female. And the female then is waiting to see who is the most powerful one to obviously impregnate her.
Exactly.
And it's like, if the animals got it right,
Yeah.
why can't we get it right?
Ain't no butterflies doing all that. So
We ain't trying to be with no butterflies.
I mean, I think both men and women choose each other, right? Like it's a mutual thing. One can't choose the other. But I think that there's an initiator and a pursuer, right? Because women are choosing the men that are choosing them. So if nobody's ever approaching you as a woman, what are you choosing? You're not choosing anything. You're just there.
But
So
why
like,
wouldn't you approach as a woman?
I mean, now that's a whole nother topic.
I'm
I
saying
I think women should initiate, but
Go
Yeah,
to
I was
Iceland.
women-
yeah.
Go to Iceland today.
yeah, but that's a
And
cultural.
yeah,
That could be a cultural difference.
That's what I'm saying. Our thing is a cultural difference.
Yeah.
It's
facts.
not something instinctual or natural.
Facts.
This is a culture set up called patriarchy,
Yeah.
where women are not allowed to be in their natural, sensual, sexual essence. Because if we were, y'all would know who
Yeah,
watched.
no, women are just as sexual as men. Yeah, for
More.
sure.
Yeah.
But
More
it's,
sexual
it's suppressed and put, rules and patriarchy, all this stuff around it. But I mean, it's a mutual choosing to me. They have to choose each other.
I think
But-
men choose back, yes.
We
Yeah.
do, but we like women that choose us. Like,
No, we do, because we're always in the aggression mode of having to pick, select, impress, But it's like when a woman does come to us and she's like, "Oh, I want you," and you're
that
like,
feel
there's nothing
good?
hotter
Like,
on the
yeah,
planet
like,
than a woman
you know,
that chooses you.
I actually want you too. I like how that look.
So tell more men about that feeling, and more men will have more.
Ladies, shoot your shot more often.
That's right.
And men stop being intimidated by that.
Go ahead. I totally agree.
So I want to know a little bit about the process of educating Tiger. Like, what went into the explanation? What went into like, this is how our relationship looks. This is how we're integrating you into our partnership. I would love to. I know our audience wants to hear this.
You talking? Look at me.
Yeah, so look, from my side, that was work. That took at least 2 years
Wow.
for me to fully come on board, because you've got to figure, I've lived, 20 some odd years of monogamy.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work to
Here's the thing.
unravel that line of thinking.
But here's the thing. The first year, he knew that I was polyamory. And I think he thought that meant sex. Like, a lot of people think polyamory means
three
sex.
songs. We
Yeah, like sex.
It's going crazy.
And so he's coming over once a month and we have sex, and then he leaves. I'm like, this is not, by the way, poly. Like, we can go on dates, we can go out, we can have a relationship.
So were you guys dating, going out on dates, hanging out for a year?
For the first
It was
year,
just sex.
no, it was just sex. And I said to him, this is not what I'm looking for.
Now, is that something that he wanted, or Why was it just sex?
It was just sex for me because I was coming out of that marriage and still had that monogamous mindset. So I was kind of like playing around. I go over, I date. I'm like,
but he didn't take it serious because
that's what I want to hear. So you didn't take it seriously because she was married?
I didn't take it seriously because I didn't know anything about it.
Got it.
As I started to really understand polyamory, and again, this took a lot of time to really fully understand the depths of it. Then it became more of a connected thing. But in the beginning, I think I had the same stigma as most people. When you think polyamory, it's sex.
Right.
And so it's just like, okay, you guys are open, you're free, we're just doing things.
It's just a Diddy freak off.
Right. It's a freak off, right.
Not quite that.
But there's so much depth to it.
Yeah. So you would come over and have sex with her. Now, were you guys in private or was Carl watching?
Oh, no.
Okay,
We don't. These men would never. I mean, they won't give me no threesome, nothing. They would never share a bed with me. I see people say that online. I have an individual sex life with Tiger and an individual sex life with Carl. Now, some of Carl's girlfriends be trying to get me.
Okay.
But I'm not lesbian enough to be with them. And then, I connect my friends with him, like girlfriends with Tiger, because all my girlfriends want my husbands. Right. And I'm like, go have them. But no, we don't. They don't give me no.
So it's not. You guys aren't having threesomes and foursomes and fivesomes and sixsomes.
I wish.
You wish.
Sometimes I do
manifest
like
it.
That. But I can't manifest it with them. they're uber hetero or something.
So is it okay? Let's get into this because I was actually might as well say it right. So I was actually in I guess it was a poly. But it was two best friends. And we would be intimate, but they would never touch.
Two men?
Two men.
Okay.
And they would never touch.
Wow.
Now, we did have rules. And again, I would love to call it principles. I love that. But when one crossed it, it was over. Because the trust was pretty much severed.
Oh, no.
Right? And it was...
How did he cross it?
So
what do you do?
The rule,
Exactly.
So they know who they are. Sorry. So what happened was there was an understanding that if there was going to happen something in the bedroom, that the other one had to be there watching, unless the other one gave permission for us to have an interaction and he not be there. He needed to know about it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So there was an instance, and of course I'm not looking into this because I thought they had already discussed this. So one of them came, we had a time, we went to Blue Door, had our good time, but didn't let the other one know.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're best friends.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So at that point I said, you guys have to deal with this because I was under the understanding that we were good.
Yeah.
Right. So there then happened, like there was jealousy involved. Obviously the mindset was not developed enough for us to sustain a longer interaction. But when people say, oh, they're gay, and I'm like, they never touched. The whole interactions, they never touched.
No.
They were never touching.
So do the people also say that men who run trains are all gay because they're having sex?
No, that's
like,
not gay
why
at all.
are we?
There are plenty of trains.
These are not. I thought men were logical. It's like that's not a logical. Summation. If two guys are having sex with the same woman, what makes them gay?
Now, I don't know that makes them gay, but that is a very interesting point that you bring up with the train aspect of, because that is a thing with polyamory. We went on a show with a guy, and that was one of his things. It was very graphic and descriptive of it. And he was saying, how can you go in and have sex with this lady after somebody else has been in there? And the trains are essentially that same aspect. You know that you're going to be having sex after another man. What is the cutoff to say, like, this is okay, but the other thing is not? Is it the connection? Is it the love? Is it like, what is it?
No, what it is just men in this culture have been raised with the concept of that they're insecure about their sexuality, their penis size, all of the things, and their performance and so forth. So they don't want to compete with other men.
Right.
If they can find a version, it means they have no competition in your mind that somebody could be better. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's it.
That's simple.
And it's not understanding human sexuality. I'm somebody again who gets chosen a lot by women, and when you talk to other men who are out there and very popular with women, like they'll tell you like just a lot of men don't understand how sexuality works. Like they don't understand. Like, look, women are married, they go around the corner, have sex. 15 minutes later, they come back. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know.
And their husband would never know.
They
And
would never know.
you know, like, and it's just like, you all don't really understand human sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's out here having sex. Women desire sex. Men desire sex. We are having sex. You see what I'm saying? And so this whole idea that you're going to have your own little person to the side for your whole life, you know, like you're just naive and you're not really understanding who we are as human beings. So, like, for me, it's like I just get it. You know, like, I coach women for a living. You know what I'm saying? Like, married women, like, so I understand, like, this is the reality of the world. And a lot of men are still just in this fantasy thing, and it's the insecurity and you know, it's also Disney's fault, you know, the romance but it's just like, look, just accept the fact that we're sexual beings. We go through different phases where we might want to have sex more than other times, but that's just what it is. You don't, you know, so like Kenya having sex with somebody or me having sex, that's not going to turn us off.
That turns me on.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I would not date or marry any man who don't have lots of women.
You said that before, that women desire a man that's pre-selected by other women.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and
I said this, and I'm going to say it again, and you guys tell me what you think. I said this in another podcast, and everybody went wild. I said, if a man is at the grocery store and is wearing a ring, us women look at that man as being pre-selected by another woman.
Yes.
That's why men say, I put that ring on and all the women were after me. And I'm like, yes, because you've been pre-selected by another woman, which means she already did all the work.
Right.
You good. So we're going to go for that.
well, let me tell you.
The work is, you got to tell a woman what the work is. The work is you vetted that man.
Yes.
And what men got to say is women also train men. They train us how to make love to them the right way. They train us how to function, how to treat them, all that. So when a woman knows that, like, other women have been with this man, they know that he's been trained and he probably has all these, you know, natural ways to be with women that are just like gonna ignite her instantly.
Yes.
Which is precisely why I would not be with a man who doesn't have lots of women. And that's also making them more powerful. My ancestors told me a story of my ancestors. What are their ancestors? Native American ancestors, African ancestors. I have Irish ancestors. But one set of my ancestors told me that women each used to create their own scent. This is in ancient times.
Yeah.
Okay. And if that scent, if they made love with men, because in the Amazon, you line up the 12 men you had sex with and they're all the baby's uncles. There's no one man as father in most cultures that predate patriarchy. So anyways, you make this ointment, you put it on the man. If he has sex with you and he's great, you put it on him. If that man has that scent of a lot of women on him, the women know he's vetted. You can ask him to have sex with you anytime and you're going to have your minutes in heaven. You're going to have it because he is vetted. That's the psychology of women.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and
I love that. That's really interesting.
And men are the same way.
Look,
but we don't like to admit it. So, like, we'll marry the virgin or the good girl, but we'll cheat with the hoe.
see, I'm the opposite. I would never marry a virgin, bro.
There you go.
Never.
There you
No.
go.
I don't want no woman that's never been with nobody. Look, go fuck 20 dudes, come back, and then we can
There
talk
you
about
go.
what you've
There
been doing.
you
Because
go.
I want somebody that's, you know, liberated and has tapped into the sensual part of her being. You know what I mean? I don't want an inexperienced woman who don't like doing this, don't know that. You can miss me with that, Melissa. Come back, get some experience, and then, because your sexual self brings out other parts of yourself. Your intellectual, your emotional, your spiritual. So if you haven't tapped into that part, there's probably untapped other areas of your being. And at this stage in life, that's, to me, almost immature. Like you're really not like in tune with yourself. You don't have a lot of high self-awareness.
No.
So like the virgin thing to me, it's like, you know,
That's exactly right.
I mean,
How about
forget
the porn
virgins.
star?
I was married for 10 years along the lines of what you were saying before I knew that women can have ejaculations, that women can squirt. How do we have a whole anatomical, and by the way, I have
you
a class.
need to know what you're doing to get you there. And that's another
Yes.
thing too. I hate when men say, "Oh, she doesn't squirt." I'm like, no, we all squirt.
We all
You don't
do.
know how to make her squirt.
You just don't
Well,
know
it's
how
not
to
that he
touch
doesn't
her.
know how to make her. She hasn't opened and allowed that yet. There's
Correct.
no man who's going to bring me to orgasm. It's a man who's going to hold space and be present and provide an environment, but I'm going to bring me to orgasm. So this is what I support women with. I do have a class called Diva Deep Dive that helps women with their ejaculations and their
I'm so glad
orgasms,
that-
which should go all the way
I'm
up.
That's
so glad
really
that
good.
You say this because here's another thing that I learned after marriage, and I, like Lyndon was saying, I felt like I was liberated after marriage. Is we have different types of orgasms. They feel different with different people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What one man can do for you, another man can never do. And a lot of women will be like, well, oh my God, we can't talk about this. That's one thing. The other thing is how you were talking about, your body will open up at different levels with different energies.
Yes.
And that's another thing that a lot of people are like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But see, that goes into the choice thing. And that's what we're trying to explain. Like a woman, I try to explain to men it's an involuntary thing. Like when you choose a man, it's also because you open up to him.
Yeah.
Like you can't decide I'm going to open up to this man. Like your body decides.
Thank
you see what I'm saying? Like you feel it somewhere. Like Kenya said, it could be in your crown chakra, could be in your heart, could be in your pussy, whatever.
Yeah.
But something within you responds viscerally and organically to that man. And that's how you know, oh, this is a choice for me.
Yeah.
Like men don't understand that women can't just turn that on and off.
And that's why we like polyamory, because it deletes obligatory sex. I'm not having obligatory sex with any human on this planet. I don't care if I'm married to you. If I don't want to have sex, I'm not having sex. But I'm not going to stop you from going to have sex with who you want to have sex with.
I love that conversation.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
We need
But
more
here's
women like
here's
you.
the other thing, okay? And Lyndon would talk about this too. And actually, please do, about when you're married and the male wants to have, the man wants to have sex and the female doesn't, the wife doesn't. And you're just like, just fucking lay there. Like, how sad is that, right?
Well, it's monogamy.
This is sad.
We have 330 million people in this nation, and most believe they are monogamous. Now, monogamous species,
I love that.
monogamous species mate once for life, and they don't mate with another if that mate should
And I
die.
think you said it was like a penguin and a bird.
Oh gosh, no. Well, geese, gibbons, 4% of mammals are monogamous. But the biggest thing is the women of monogamous species, females, do not have sex unless they're in heat. So which women here only have sex when we're ovulating?
Yeah.
None. I mean, we
worst
got to
time
look
to
at
have
science
sex.
too.
It's the worst. Don't do it, bro.
But that's when she most wants it. You know
No,
that.
I know. That's when it's the most risk.
So, I want to get into the dynamics of your other relationships. Like, how do they intertwine with your? Because you all three live together, right?
Yeah,
Most
we
of the
have
time.
we have multiple. We go kind of back and forth.
We have
You know what I'm
multiple
saying?
residencies.
Yeah,
Let's
so
talk about that. Like, what is? So you guys are not having crazy orgasms or crazy orgies. We're not doing that.
We've never had an orgy. No.
Never had an orgy. So
We
kinda
have children.
So take us, well, I know they're all grown, right? But take us through kind of, so you have your intimate time with Carl, and then you have your intimate time with Tiger, but it never meshed together.
No.
Okay.
No, I have a house. I have a bedroom on the 4th floor with my office and everything, and that's my space. I don't share a bedroom with anyone.
Thank you.
Why would I do
Did y'all
that?
get that? Thank you. Okay, look.
This is my house. They lucky I share a house
I
with them.
literally got dragged because I said I don't want nobody snoring next to me,
No.
sweating next to me. Listen,
Not every damn night.
No.
And
Like,
that's what actually kills the polarity in many marriages.
Thank
Because when you stay with somebody that amount of time, you become roommates or friends because you have to. The polarity has to die, or else you all would be fighting every single day. So anyways, Carl is on the 3rd floor, so he's right downstairs.
Okay.
And then Tiger was on the 1st floor, but he also has a residence in North Carolina with his other wife and his child.
Got it.
And so we're in and out, back and forth, but nobody's sleeping together every night. No.
Got it. But you guys all go out to dinner, go dates together, hang out together. Now, do you integrate your different families and different relationships together? Like, are you guys all having a big party together, or?
Yeah, families for sure.
Yes?
Have been integrated. My son grew up with their youngest son for many years.
Okay.
Kind of formed a little brotherhood with them. But I don't think we've ever really integrated relationships
families.
for the most part.
Well, you guys, you had a wife. We all were friends.
Yeah.
You have a wife. I'm friends with her.
Yeah.
She got another man. We're friends with them. I have other men. They friends. One of my men in Africa is his business partner
Got it.
because we build our app in Africa. Like, I want all my men to be a brotherhood. Like, they got to work together. That's why do men think we're going to get ahead, capitalism, blah, blah, blah. No, community, baby.
Right.
Community.
Tribes did it.
Yeah.
Tribes did it. Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Men
wait,
have to work together to secure all women and all children.
I think there's that part in the guy though that is not comfortable with his woman being with other men, though, if we're being honest. And I don't know if you guys felt that in the beginning or in the transition part from monogamy to polygamy, but it's like, I don't know. I think like just in your stomach, it's like, it's okay. It's okay for me to be with like other women. Like, oh yeah, that's cool if I meet another woman that I'm in love with. That's my soulmate. Like, yeah, I would love to be with her. But if you meet that nigga, like, don't entertain it. Okay? Do not.
Well,
And
Tiger had that concern more than Carl. So why don't you express, like, have you felt that and what was it like?
No, I think it was really kind of a gut check, you know, kind of a self-actualization of why am I feeling that? But it goes back to what you said earlier, you know, if you get this lady who's never been with anybody, and you're like, here, go out and be with these other men. In the back of my mind, I know she's been with other men. And I like her now. So why would I not still like her just because she meets somebody else or she's talking to somebody else? Or, you know, what was the divide now because I'm in the picture? Like, what changed it? So it was really coming to the conclusion of that, like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then it really kind of sort of to erase that feeling of jealousy, that feeling of insecurity. Like, she chose me, so obviously I'm worth something.
See, when I was married, I had cheated on my ex-wife, right? And so we worked through it, or so I thought. And we were progressing from that situation. And then one day she comes to me and she tells me that she had messed with a guy. And I was like, oh my God, you dirty bitch.
At the same time? At the same time you were cheating?
It was like a year later.
Okay,
I cheated.
Saw the guy too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He was like at the gym and stuff. Like I would see him. I didn't know it was him until after the fact.
Yeah, but that's just a symptom of patriarchy. It's saying that men are free to do what they please.
No, I felt wrong. I felt guilty. I was like, dang, I messed up. All right, let's work past it. But then when she told me she did it, I was like, there's no effing way. I can't believe you would hurt me like this.
Exactly.
I can't believe you. So then when we had sex after that, it wasn't even the same. I couldn't even look at her the same. I couldn't feel the same because in my mind, I was like, man, you went out with somebody else. Like, I don't even know. It don't hit right. But when I did it, it was still hitting just as good when I was doing it.
You're like, you good? You good?
But that's that sort of goes back to that lack of logic that men claim they're logical, but they feel like it's logical for them to go have sex. But and we should still have sex with them when they get home.
Yeah, of course.
But if we do it, that's like, where's the logic there?
The double standard.
I'm not saying it's logical. I'm not saying it's
emotional. That's actually very emotional.
It is
hyper emotional.
It's hyper emotional.
And again, this goes back to what I said the other day. I think men are raised to be physically strong and emotionally weak.
Yes.
And until that man opens his mind to other ideas, then he is stuck in this box forever. And you're not fully self-expressed. And I go back to the fully self-expressed because when you are a fully self-expressed soul, nothing and nobody can say or do anything to you because you are your whole full self.
Right.
So, absolutely.
But that's a challenge to get men to identify with their emotions because we were taught as kids, you know, growing up, stop that crying. You're a man. Don't cry.
Thank you.
So then how do we get in touch then with our emotions later on in life?
I think you have to be open-minded, right? Like the story of you guys sitting down and having this conversation is mind-blowing to me and to other people listening to this conversation because they already put this block, right? It's like a horse. You're going to walk like this and don't look nowhere else. But when you take that off, you see more and you start realizing, damn, how am I been living my life?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we've written our books, is because we explain step by step the tools we use. It is not just a mindset shift. It is a practice. So we had to practice having certain conversations. And that's what we talk about in Up Level. For instance, if I have something really harsh to bring to my husband, I use Up Level. I don't just run in the room and say, oh, babe, I'm mad. I'm pissed off. I'm jealous of you. I say, babe, can I talk to you about something? I'm really triggered. I'm at a level fucking 10.
Yeah.
Then he may say yes or no.
Yeah, I can choose to hear it at that time or not. And because we're polyamorous, she has the option if she wants to go vent to somebody else or talk to somebody else, she can, if it's another guy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's like, it takes community, and we need to make sure that we are, you know, we talk about the ego, animal, and higher self.
That's
we
what
don't
I was
allow
just about to share.
the animal within us to just dictate our actions and functioning.
But I'm not going to vent without consent to my husband.
Right.
That's a protocol. It's
Yes.
not an ideology.
Yes.
It's a practice.
It's like,
So
do you want to vent?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to listen? Do you
Yeah.
want me to give you advice, or do you want me to listen?
no, ma'am. I'm going to vent.
Yeah.
I need to vent. People need to get anger off. They need to get frustration, jealousy. All of it has to be shared.
And he has to give permission.
Yes.
To allow.
Yes.
Wow, I love that.
But even once he gives permission, I'm going to say, you've done nothing wrong. This is just my ego speaking. I need to let him know that I know that what I'm saying is a damn lie, because he has done nothing wrong according to my higher self. These are metaphysical principles put into practice in our marriage, and we don't believe polyamory is safe without these tools.
That's deep. That's deep. Look, let's hold that thought. We'll come right back to this conversation and pick up where we left off.
Don't forget to please like and subscribe to our channel. We are here to talk authentically and raw about emotion, sex, and everything under the sun. So please don't forget to subscribe.
Yes, Untying Knots is a self-funded program, and it's powered by your donations and contributions. So when you subscribe to our channel, when you support, when you donate, when we're going live, that helps us grow. So if you're enjoying our show and these episodes and you want more, please continue to like, subscribe, share our content, and we appreciate your donations and giving. So getting back to the conversation, let's pick up on this part, the dynamic between Tiger and Carl. You know, we talked about, you know, when you were brought into the relationship and kind of how that initiated with the meeting, but let's talk about how like you guys relate to each other and what your interaction and what your bond is like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel Tiger and I are friends. You know, I feel we're brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot about him that I really admire in terms of like his skills, things he understands, the way he is with his son, like very attentive. So it like really taught me a lot about stuff. Even though I'm older than Tiger, I still learned a lot from him, still learning from him as of now. And we're in business together. You know, we're building an app that's really about going beyond dating, you know, and really relating. So I consider him a brother and family.
Was that initial, or did you have to grow into that thought? Because, you know, as an outsider looking in, like, it could be like, man, this is the guy that's having sex with my wife.
Well, yeah, there's a guy having sex with my wife. But, you know, there's two things. One, like, I have to see, is Kenya serious about this guy?
Okay.
Right? So if she's serious and what the situation with their relationship is. And then two, like, do I like him as a person?
Yeah.
Like, we're clear on our dynamic. Like, we don't have any confusion. Like, people are, like, wondering, like, what's up with us? But, like, me and him are just cool. You know what I'm saying? So we're cool. But, you know, it really, it's like we got to build our own relationship outside of Kenya. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But also including Kenya as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just feel like we're really cool. And, you know, I really appreciate having him in my life.
That's awesome. What would you say, Tiger? How was...
I would definitely say kind of the same things along the same lines. But, you know, for me, it is just an air of respect. You know, if I'm coming into, you know, Carl's house, especially when we first met, you know, if I'm with his wife, you really have to pay homage to that. Like, this man was that open that, you know, he didn't just kick down the door, rip my head off. So, you know, I really did learn a lot from him. I'm still learning from him as well. Just how to relate to women, how to open up, how to really kind of get in touch with my own masculinity, and things that I never thought about. Just because that was never shown to me growing up. You know, my dad was not one that was like, oh, sit down, son, here, and let me tell you how to relate to women, or let me, you know, give you these instructions on, you know, tantra or any of that other stuff. Mm-hmm. But with Carl, it's like he's got such an intellect, and to see that in actuality is really humbling. So, you know, I learned a lot from him, and, you know, like you said, he might pick up some stuff from me, but I think I've picked up more from him than he will ever know.
That's awesome.
They're both so modest and humble. It's too cute.
What would you say? How would you characterize?
You say mine for real. No, we were in Cabo. And we were like went out on the yachts. We were like way out there. So I was said I'm gonna swim between the two yachts. You see what I'm saying? Like the other yacht's like what 100 meters away or whatever. Yeah. So I'm swimming, and all of a sudden I'm like, yo, like I'm not gonna make it. You see what I'm saying? Because like I hadn't really been in the ocean like that far out.
That water.
And you know, and also it's been a long time since I was swimming since my hair was so long, and so it's like I was a lot heavier. Yeah, the weight. So I got tired, and you know, we were drinking all that kind of stuff. So eventually, like I'm like waving, like, yo, Tiger, man. Like he came over and grabbed me. I was like, yo, like literally saved my life for real.
Carl, you can't swim?
I could swim really good.
You just
Really
got tired.
But like I said, we were drinking. It was
Okay,
hot out
okay.
that day, and I hadn't been in the water.
Okay.
Like that. Like people don't understand. Like when you're like deep in the ocean, like
Yeah, you can't see your feet.
it's
No.
a different
It's a
type
different
of.
yeah, it's not
a whole
swimming
different-
pool swimming.
Yeah, that's not as
Yeah,
different.
we're out there in that Cabo sun, man. That's
Yeah.
no joke.
See, then it would have been like, let him drown.
Oh.
You don't mind. You don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, go
You'd
ahead.
be like, oh,
No,
I haven't seen Carl.
That's husband.
No, they really deeply
He'd be like, I haven't seen him. I don't know where he is.
they deeply care about each other, and I call that a feminine skill. If women all over the world got men to understand that they have to get along and share and take care of all of us, they would. But it's women who's playing into the patriarchy right now. I just don't play in, and I know how to harmonize men.
I love that. I love that. You're not lying. Look, so Instagram sent us some questions.
Okay.
So we want to ask you guys these things. And so feel free to answer however you want. Some are directed towards some of you specifically. So let me throw these out there. These are good too. All right. So one question was, where is it at? It says, for the husbands, do you guys ever feel emasculated being one of multiple? And what would you say to people who call you weak?
I mean, for me, I never feel emasculated. Again, I have, more women than all the people talking online. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, I know my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
They look at it from the outside in, or the TLC show, and they're assuming, like, oh, you're just with Kenya and she's got all the men or whatever. But that's not the reality of it. And then two,
Think on that. How many women do you have?
I have a lot. I mean, I don't count.
It's not countable.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't count.
Okay, so you're just
Put it like
saying-
there's holes in every area codes.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
got it.
Hey.
Okay. They're not actual relationships.
Well, for me,
No,
they're all
they're-
relationships.
They are relationships.
Yeah.
But relationships are different. Like some are like, hey, we talk every day. Some are like, we only see each other once a year. Some are like
Got it.
platonic because we haven't really had the time to hook up. Like by the time I leave the earth, there'll be like hundreds of women that I just didn't have time to see or visit who were interested. Like we wanted to hook up. So like I live an open lifestyle, and like women feel that, they sense that, so they know they can talk to me about anything. They know I'm not going to judge them. And when you have that posture as a man, like women come to you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the lifestyle I live, and I know that that's like a dope lifestyle. I know a lot of men want that lifestyle, but I know they also have an issue with sharing. Their woman. So like when men say that, I get it. I used to have the same mindset too, and you know what I'm saying? So, but I don't see myself.
I don't know why TLC told that lie though.
Yeah.
Like, why would they lie that
Why would
I have
they?
all these men? I don't want no bunch of men who don't have no bunch of women.
Right.
I mean, but that's a good story though, because you never hear that.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's just so far-fetched. I mean, women don't do things like men do. Women are egalitarian. We like community. So we wouldn't be like, you guys are mine. We own you. That's not a woman's
Right.
place of mind.
But some women would be like that.
Really?
I think it's really just the time that we're in. A lot of the media companies are really woman-centric. So you see it with like the superhero movies, like they're bringing a lot of women in. So they're looking for women to take lead roles, and sometimes they go to extremes and try to, diminish the men at the same time.
I could agree with that.
So I think we got caught up in that.
Tiger, do you ever feel emasculated? And what would you say to people that call you weak?
No, I wouldn't say that I feel emasculated in any way. It's never been that kind of a dynamic in my relationships. But weakness, it would probably take more strength for someone to live this lifestyle than to just be monogamous. Like you can cheat and that takes no strength. Like you just backdooring something. But to come out and to be in the open and to be honest and authentic and have conversations and not cheat, that takes a little more strength. So I don't agree with the weak thing. Maybe pioneer, because we're one of the first people to do this.
Yeah, trailblazer.
And that takes a lot of strength, but I wouldn't say weak.
Okay, I love that. Question for the wife. This one says, how do you manage to keep the balance of love and attention with your partners?
Oh, I don't seek to keep a balance of love and attention. I am the center of my life. Me. What I desire to do, that's what I do. So my partners, anything that they're not receiving from me, they have the full option to have their other women to fill in. So I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to do something. No, if they need something more, they have to go get that, just like I do.
Right.
And so we just are very autonomous human beings in our polyamory.
Okay. Next question is, how has this dynamic affected your relationship with family for all of you guys?
Well, my family loves it because we're not divorced like the rest of my family.
Thank you. I was about to say that. I was about to say that.
All they have is a string of divorces and no more family reunions, who cheated and what they did with their genitals. We don't play that game. We think that's weakness.
Did you feel like you had to come out the closet in a sense?
No, we told them that we were poly. And that's that. I mean, we've had a lot of discussions with them, right?
Yeah, when we were, earlier on in our poly journey, our children came to us one time and said, I forget who said this, might have been two of them. They said, Mom and Dad, we're just glad you're not divorced.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we really appreciate you all being together. Like, even with the fact that the family was like criticizing us and being poly and stuff like that, like they really appreciate us being together. And the other thing, I just read this stat or watched on a video the other day, and they said, did you know that one of the top predictors of child abuse in abuse in the home, that's 100 times more prevalent than other predictors, is whether or not there's a step parent in the home. Meaning when the biological parents aren't in the home anymore and there's a step parent, automatically the probability of child abuse goes up 100 times. So like, I just really appreciate the fact that Kenya and I were able to work things out. And I appreciate that Tiger really, like, one thing I love about Tiger is that he came in as a man and as a father. And so, like, I trust him with my children. Like, he was, like, really good with my youngest son. He's even good with my daughter. So I know you guys had some time where, he was just like a mentor and just very responsible. And, like, people don't know how powerful that is when children can go to multiple adults.
Yes.
Or you can trust your children with other adults and they're going to, instill positive values in them. So, I'm just thankful that we were able to figure some things out that bring family together as opposed to bring us apart.
I love that.
And Tiger, what about you? Because you mentioned before you come from a traditional family.
Yes, so very traditional, and surprisingly, my parents accepted Kenya with open arms. So
that's because I went to church with them.
but it was a great dynamic.
Set up in flames.
It was a great dynamic because I don't feel like it was any loss as far as anything. I've gained multiple families with this, where most traditional marriages, you gain that one family, and people are like, oh, I hate my step parent or mother-in-law or father-in-law or whatever it is. But in this instance, it wasn't that. It was like, I love Kenya's family. Every one of them loves me. I love Carl's family. We met them. And so it was really nice to see that dynamic.
So you guys didn't lose family, you gained family. So that's what everybody's kind of saying.
Absolutely.
Another question is, how do you decide how to split your time, especially during key events like work events, friends parties, and what are the tiebreakers in decision-making?
They aren't in competition for me and my time. So, we're all very busy. I'm the CEO of 2 companies. He's my CFO. He's the CEO of his own 2 companies. We're not like fighting for time together. We're trying to find time to spend, but we're working together. I don't look at relationships as like, oh my gosh, all of this just cozy time. We're building empire.
Literally.
We don't have time. What are you talking about? We've read 12 books. We've raised 4 kids. We're bi-coastal. Our office is in Nairobi, Kenya. We're not playing a game here. So in terms of time, we're just happy with the time we get to spend together, but they're not competing for my attention.
Right.
No.
Okay. Last question I had from somebody was, it was about the intimacy. It was, are you guys intimate together? Do the guys have an intimacy together? And then are you guys seeing other women outside of Kenya?
Yeah, we're not all intimate together.
Never.
So we stated that earlier. Kenya will share time with Tiger. Kenya will share time with me, as we all agree and see fit. I have a ton of other partners. I just date freely and openly. Kenya, she dates freely and openly.
I have lots of
Tiger does his thing as well.
Whatever the mood hits, you do.
And you know what? I think if a lot of people open their minds to this type of lifestyle, a lot of divorces would not happen.
Yeah.
Or because, sometimes people get itches, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you need to go scratch it, but you're not allowed to.
Right.
So I'm glad that we had this conversation and brought this to people and broke it down in the way that you guys did, because this was very, very good, and it was very influential, I think.
Yeah.
And also educational.
But I have to I do have to give a disclaimer. you don't want to just try poly.
Right.
You need the tools, you need the systems, you need some understanding and clarity. Yeah.
Of course.
I agree. I mean, through the conversation, one of my thoughts was perhaps the sustainability of your guys' marriage has been the honesty, the communication, and the openness. And when you're explaining your previous marriage and the infidelity, I'm wondering to myself, well, what if they were open? Would that have saved that marriage?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I thought about that.
Yeah.
You know, if I could go back, rewind time and look at that, there's a possibility that we might have still been together. But without having the tools, you know, the non-expressions of love, without the up level, without all of those tools, there's no way we could have been in any way in a communicative space.
Yeah.
They weren't communicating when we met, and I went to meet with his ex-wife because they weren't talking, and I wanted her to be closer to us, and she now is.
Great.
Yeah.
I say she my co-wife
You know
too.
what? This is what I say to people. Women are actually easier to get along with.
That's
because you know, when the two females find out that their man is cheating on them, they actually connect together.
Yes, they
and then
do.
they say, hey, I didn't know, all this,
Mhm.
and they actually can be friends.
Of
Whereas
course.
men are like, no, fuck that, he's an asshole, but
But
that's
if-
not how women are.
Right, but if the men were to combine, we would have much more abundant culture. There
Yeah.
would be
I
no
agree.
poverty and people on the streets and all of this. This is directly the individualism and the nuclear family, which has not worked. It's a failure.
Yeah, and I think men are more built for it. You know, I don't know if you guys heard the story about how swinging started, or one of the ways it started.
No, tell us. real
Was
quick.
I saw it on video, but basically I think it was men in the military. They were getting ready to go to war, and they knew they probably weren't coming back, or a lot of them weren't coming back. So what they did was they got together with all their families and their wives, and they started having sex with each other. And the reason why is because they wanted, if I die, I want you to take care of my woman and feel comfortable and connected to her. So they created an environment where everybody felt comfortable, connected, and had a real strong connection. And so when some of the men didn't come back, the other men took care of those women and like actually loved those women. It was like a burden. It was like real love. So I think men are built for it. As long as we feel, if we're getting enough love, sex, and intimacy, then we really don't care. The issue is that most men are not getting any of that. We have the biggest group of incels in the history of probably the world right now, which is men who are not getting any sex or touch. Wow. But if all of us are getting sex on a regular basis and getting touch and love, we really wouldn't care what women are doing.
If women were allowed to be with multiple partners, there would be no incel.
Listen, man, I can't have my wife out here like that. Can you? We talked about this.
Let's keep things the way they are. Let's just keep it the way it is.
Now, I'm going to do what I need to do. Self-preservation. No, that's awesome. We thank you guys so much, not just for being here, but for your wisdom, your openness, for educating millions of people on not just lifestyle, but truth and wisdom. And I hope that our audience considers these things, thinks through these things, challenge your own beliefs. Like, don't just subscribe to the status quo. Don't just subscribe to what you were taught or tradition, but really think through the whys. And don't be afraid to take risks. I mean, that's what's helped us post-divorce life in our glow up, right?
Divorce was the ultimate glow up for us.
Yeah, and
it really was.
Stepping outside of those boxes, those norms, and we came into so much self-discovery.
Of course.
Yeah. So, man, I love this conversation. Thank you guys so much again.
Yeah, thank you for coming and
Our
sharing
pleasure.
your authentic and raw selves.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
Be sure to follow Untying Knots as well as
Progressive Love Academy.
Mystery School and Sekou Numerology.
And definitely log in to meet more.
And when does the app come out?
It comes out in 2025. So
Yes.
we're not sure of the exact date, but it's going to be first quarter in 2025.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're excited for everything you guys are going to accomplish in the new year. And you guys, thank you so much for subscribing and following. And we'll see you on the next episode of Untying Knots.